court does call the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Matthew Wheeler.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Laura Billenberg, on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Judge. Larry Margolis on behalf of the defendant, Mr. Wheeler. Please state your name.
Good afternoon, Judge. My name is Matthew John Wheeler.
All right, this is your motion, Mr. Margolis.
Thank you, Judge. Where would you like me to stand, Your Honor?
Wherever you'd like, sir.
I don't know why I like the podium, but let's try that. Judge, we are seeking to have the bond reduced in this matter. It's set at $150,000 cash or surety. It's not something that Mr. Wheeler is able to make. He is a 44-year-old resident of Washtenaw County, has lived his whole life. I say that initially because in the bond, I have the arraignment where his lawyer at the time said he has no family in the area, and the magistrate said that he may be a flight risk. I wanted just to correct the record on that because his family, the entire family except for his brother, lives in the state of Michigan, lives in the directly in the Metro Detroit area. His father is in the courtroom today. His brother, who came in from Maryland, is in the courtroom today as well. Mr. Wheeler was taken into custody in this case on October 15th, and he's stayed in custody since that time. As I said, he has very, very strong ties to this community, and he is not a risk of flight whatsoever. He has no reported criminal history, Your Honor. He has a long and positive employment history. He's been employed as a martial arts instructor, and that's where the allegations arose from. But he's been employed there since 2010 when he was an instructor, and then he took ownership of the school in 2022. So for 15, give or take, years, he's been teaching at that location. This is the first allegation that arose. He's been working with kids throughout that time. He has a lot of positive support. I've attached some letters of reference for Your Honor, and I can go through those, but I obviously don't need to. I've been getting more emails to my office. What can I do to help this individual? I was walking into court this afternoon. Attorney Jonathan Sachs said, "Larry, come here." He brings me over. He says, Mr. Wheeler has been coaching or teaching my son for years. Do you need me to stay around? And I said, yes, as long as you can. But then he had to go. He said, please use my name to the court. This man has standing in this community is what I'm trying to tell the court. He's very close to his family. He's a caring son and brother. He's highly disciplined and respectful of others. His mother would be here. He cares for his mother in large part. She is aging and not well. She wanted to be here, but she's at Chelsea Hospital right now. So she is sending her support from afar. As far as him being a danger to the community, Judge, he's not. Again, he's lived in this community his whole life. This is his first criminal charge lifetime. He's actively involved with his defense. He would do nothing to jeopardize it. And we're seeking to have Your Honor reduce this to either a 10% in a lower amount that the family can make. There are conditions that can be placed upon him. So we're asking Your Honor to modify that bond. Defer to the people at this time.
Response.
Your Honor, I wrote in my motion that I am asking that bond remain as set. I reviewed and charged this case and originally requested a $50,000 bond, and Magistrate Odetella, of his own volition, set the bond at $150,000 because he thought that was appropriate. The victim in this case, the assaults and the grooming started when she was 12. She started training in martial arts when she was 6. Defendant was someone that she very much trusted and admired and looked up to, and the allegations are that he took advantage of that and of a child, began grooming her and assaulting her when she was 12, and then 3 days after the most recent incident, she reported it and told her mom what was happening, what had been happening. He touched her breasts, her thighs, her vagina, and this was when they were alone together, either in his vehicle or at the martial arts studio. Also made several concerning statements to her, like that the age gap isn't that bad. I have concerns given that, like, yes, these are the first allegations, but his job is essentially direct access to children. I have concerns, obviously, given the report of this child, and I think that the bond is appropriately set at this time, especially given that the magistrate saw it, that it was even more serious than I requested, and increased it to $150,000 on his own. So I'm going to request that bond remain as it is set.
Briefly. Judge, Mr. Wheeler denies any of the sexual allegations that this young person is making. He has been working with children and adults for 15 years. He had been working with this individual for 8.5 years, and in her own statement, she says that there was some touching that happened, and then she continued to stay for the next 20 months. There's a lot of facts.
Yeah, but I don't know what you're asking me to make out of that, Mr. Margolis.
Only that there's one person who's alleging this, and that one person continued to stay at the dojo.
Yeah, but this isn't a circumstance. Well, it's a child that then she doesn't remove her. She's not in a position to remove herself, right?
Well, I mean, she rose up and became a coach, and she was very involved. That's all I'm saying.
No, what I'm saying is that you're making it sound as though this is an individual who this is going on, or is at least alleging that this is going on, and chose to stay. I mean, she's a child, so the reality is she's going to be there until such time as she is afforded to tell her parents, because they're the ones that are going to take her out, right? I mean, or are you saying something different?
No, I'm not gonna quabble, or is that the word? I don't think it's important to contest that point with the court. How's that?
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out what your statement, how I'm supposed to take your statement that this is occurring to her and that she stayed. What am I supposed to do with that notion that she stayed? Because if she stays, it's my presumption, unless you know something different, is that she stays because she can't or doesn't tell her parents, so then she's not taken out.
I didn't get that impression from my review of her statement and the discovery, Judge. I got the impression that she stayed because she said it was her whole life. The dojo and the dojo community was her whole life, I think, is what I recall the statement being that I reviewed this afternoon.
Okay.
The point is that I'm trying to make is that there's a PPO in place. Once she stopped going, there was no problems with Mr. Wheeler, trying to get her to come back or going to the house or anything like that. He's a respectful person. He's a good person, Judge, and he denies this. And so all I'm asking is for his presumption of innocence to be, upheld, allow him to get the benefit of the doubt without, there's no evidence other than her statement, which is common in these cases, as Your Honor well knows. Again, he's been in this community, contributing to this community. That's why I attached, for Your Honor, all the reports, the Quest references. Quest has changed my life. An amazing experience. Our kids love spending time at Quest. So we have a community of children that have had great experiences. And yes, we've had this one that is now making these allegations. but it's probable cause. He's never been in trouble in his life. He's college educated. His family's here in support. He has a close family. I'm just asking for him to be given a reasonable bond such that we can work together on the outside.
What would he, presuming he were released, is he going to continue to operate this business or what?
So he doesn't have to, if the court were to release him, there are conditions. He should not, if there are court such as like, okay, let's not allow him to be around kids unsupervised. That's an easy one. There's been no, I mean, this.
Well, but that's not an easy one because, I mean,
as a condition.
As I read, because I pulled the swear to and the other thing, and then as I'm reading this, I mean, there's an indication that somehow or another he's up this child. Why is that occurring? I mean, I get
no, it's a great question.
Teacher.
Yep. So the family only had one car. He was close with mom and the family too. So the family would rely on him for transportation for a long period of time. This was a family that had been at the dojo, and these are small, tight-knit communities. And so this was a family that was at the dojo for 8.5 years. And so they had one car. And so mom would request that he assist in the transportation. And he would. That's why, to answer the court's question.
So the other part of that, though, is that, so if I were to release him or he were released, he would go back into the same environment to work?
Not necessarily. I think the lease has now been gone. He has other abilities. He also has another job doing something else. I forget exactly what it was. What was the other job? Yeah, he also was working at a warehouse doing shipping and receiving to make extra money. Yes, that was his business, and he eventually in his life.
Okay, I'm not getting a straight answer. If he were released, would he go back to operating this business?
No.
But it's an ongoing concern, right?
Again, I have to look at the man's history. I have to look at his family support. I look at his ties to the community.
Mr. Margolis, I get all that. What I'm trying to figure out is the allegations. I have to balance the protection of the public and the safety of the public, as well as this defendant's risk of flight and other factors. And so I'm asking these questions about what is he going to do? One thing that I would be certainly is always the case with these types of cases is access to children. And so I asked the question, is he going to operate this business? And I'm not getting a straight answer.
The answer is no. The answer is no.
But so what happens to this business?
It no longer is going to be operating, Judge. The lease, I believe he's already had a problem with that.
With what?
I think they either terminated his lease or he's out. Quest no longer operating. Is that correct? Correct. It's not even operating anymore.
When did that stop?
Probably when he got arrested.
May I just briefly respond to?
Yeah, I just want clarification. The business stopped when he got arrested. So he didn't it's not something else that stopped the business. This stopped the business.
That's correct.
So it continued through October?
When did,
When,
August.
August? Well,
Oh, the business.
yeah, that was in October, Judge. This was reported in August.
I know, I get that part, but I'm just saying. I'm trying to figure this out. If he had told me I closed the business last year because of for X reasons, how do I know that this business has ceased?
So these allegations blindsided him. And the arrest obviously was shocking. And so the business is just pretty much bolted.
Okay.
And again, much to the dismay of a lot of parents who sent me letters saying he's been working with my kids for years. We have great respect for him.
Okay, fine, but that doesn't. This really doesn't answer the question about the business stopping, because basically there's still a business. It's just not running because he's here with us. I mean, that's probably a more appropriate way to look at it, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So, is his lease terminated? I mean, I would find it hard to believe that a lease doing the business, I find it hard to believe that if this occurs in October, that a lease terminates to that extent.
His brother has been working with the lessor. What do you got? Yep. Yeah, he's been in touch with the property manager. He's asked for some grace because they don't know what was going to happen. But my client indicates that he has no intent to go back and operate that business.
Well, see, now that's a whole different scenario, because what you were telling me is that the business isn't operating, that the lease had been terminated, and that the business isn't there. The reality, as I'm hearing it now, is the business is there. It is, for all practical purposes, it is a functioning and ongoing concern that may not be doing anything at this very time.
I totally agree with that, because he is the business. Without him there, it can't operate. But because of the court's concern, we don't need to be in that business or operating that business.
Yeah, but Mr. Margulis, you can't tell me that his lease hasn't been terminated.
That was my fault. I thought that it was terminated, Judge. I must have, thought that when a conversation with my client. That's not something that he is saying either. So that's me. I don't know what respectfully that has to do with his bond.
Well, it has everything to do with his bond, Mr. Margolis, because that's the concern that the court has. He has access, just on the allegations, he has access to this child through that business. You're asking me to let him out where there are other children. And so naturally, I would want to know, is this business going to continue? That's what it has to do with his bond. And in fact, I have great concerns, and can't see that, of whether or not I should release this defendant.
I understand, Judge. I guess I was looking at it a little bit differently. When she reported this, she stopped going. And I know you're concerned about other potential allegations coming out, but I wasn't looking at it that way because I'm only hearing the positives from parents saying, we loved his work with the kids, with my kids, reaching out as a parent of two of the younger students, R&M, tremendous respect. So, he has a lot of goodwill with other people in this community who have children. In a perfect world, he'd be able to continue, and the complainant in this case would be not going back because she's not. But we are willing. I mean, he understands the court's concern, and that's why he is willing to not operate the business. The lease is not terminated, but there can easily be a condition that he can't go to that business. Yeah.
Miss Willie.
I think I just have 3 points. Mr. Margolis sent as part of his motion, and also I reviewed, and he stated on the record, that he has a lot of community support of people saying, they send their kids, but do these people know why he's not there? Is my question. Second, when viewing the website of Quest Martial Arts, there's still an option to sign up now for spaces in November. So it still seems to be operating, still seems to be allowing people to sign up. Third, I take issue with the suggestion that we're placing blame on the child for continuing to return and spend time with the defendant as if that is her fault. She was a huge part of this community, very clearly. She started there when she was 6 years old. And so what it took for her to tell someone what happened to her was probably very challenging because she had the understanding that, this was going to end for her. This community that she had was no longer going to be available to her because she couldn't be around him anymore and she couldn't deal with this anymore. I think she blew up her own life too and doesn't have that community anymore. So I take a lot of issue with that. It's somehow a child's fault for returning to a trusted figure when he was grooming and abusing her. I think given all of this information, I just think bond is appropriate. And I would ask you to rule in that way.
Anything else, Mr. Mills? Because I'm still, I'll be honest with you, I don't like the fact that I didn't get a straight answer about this business. Because this business is in a lot of ways, when you just analyze it on its face, the epicenter of this. Because without this business, there isn't access to this child and potentially access to other children. So one of the concerns that the court is going to have is the protection and safety of the public. And if that, and one thing that the court would have to take very seriously is cutting as best it could, if I were to release the defendant, is cutting that access. And I'm not getting a straight answer about this business. I'm not, you're telling me initially that it ceased because the landlord said this, then it just was,
I get that,
excuse
Judge.
my French, it was just a very squirrely answer to what this is and whether or not it exists. And I'm not even sure, at least at this point, I probably haven't gotten to that point yet, but if he were released, how would I fashion any language that he can't do this. Because apparently it's still going, the business is still going. I mean, there still is the option for students to take classes in November. Hey,
That's on me. I didn't look into that with him. I just was making assumptions, Your Honor. There are easy ways. A home confinement is one way. Don't go to Quest is another way. Again, there's a PPO in place. She is not gone for many months. I'm sorry about not understanding that we still have the website up, but that's easily taken down, Judge. He denies these allegations. He still is presumed innocent. He has no criminal history.
I'm not taking away his presumption,
Understood.
Mr. Margolis. I am just looking at, I mean, let's be real about it. Typically, when you have these types of circumstances, regrettably, and I'm not saying that's the case here, but regrettably, it's usually not just one. You all of a sudden get others that come out. And so, from the best I can understand, this is a business that's operating. And in a lot of ways, based upon the information that you supplied to the court, there are these children that are involved with this business and taking classes there and that kind of thing. And so naturally, one of my first questions are going to be is there still this place where these children are going to congregate and be part of this? And I don't get a straight answer. I don't. And the only conclusion that I can come to right now is this is still an ongoing concern. And then the question is how do I keep him out of that? How do I keep him from doing, if I were to release him, how do I keep him from doing all of that?
They're all canceled.
They're all what?
The business is not, he is the business. There's no other Quest without him. Yes, we haven't been booted out of the place yet, Your Honor, but everything is canceled.
Not terminated.
The lease is not yet terminated. That's correct. That was me making assumptions that I should not have made.
The business as a business concern is still operational.
It is not. It is not. And I know that's not the answer that, and you're shaking your head, but again,
I'm shaking my head because I'm trying to figure out how you get to that. Is the business in existence?
yes, it still is in existence. Yes, but it's not operational and all the classes are canceled.